Well, good morning, y'all. Welcome back to Sidewinder Shed. It is Saturday. September 6th. A little bit later than usual, about a little bit after 9 in the morning. And yeah, I know I haven't been on it for a little bit, but I hope everyone had a that celebrates it in the United States and everything. I hope everyone had a good Labor Day weekend. I had a great Labor Day weekend. I got one short video up, shows some of the fun, stupid but fun stuff we were doing. Had a great time. Smaller crowd this year than usual, but still, it was a real good time. And first time a friend of ours, friend of mine, Michael, Mike showed up. Been telling him about it for years, but it was the first time he showed up, and he had a great time. And so far, he seems excited to do it again next year, which would be cool. But yeah, had a great time. Had a lot of fun. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got arrested. The wife is still talking to me. So yeah, everything went great. Lots of good food. Want to thank shout out to my nephew Kenny, to Nina. She's in the video. She's the one on the being chauffeured around in the rocking chair. Um, my niece Debbie, my nephew Kenny's sister. Shout out to her. She oh my god, every day we were there, she cooked breakfast. She cooked breakfast outside on the flat top grill that we got. And my god, she did an awesome job. And I mean, like I said, it was a smaller crowd, but there was still 30, 40 people there, and she cooked breakfast for everyone. That was awesome. God bless her. I was glad she was there, so I didn't have to do it. That was awesome. That was great. Um, but yeah, so I hope everyone had a good weekend. I hope everyone has a good weekend this weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe as always. Um, yeah, I'm hopping on here today. Just I have absolutely no content. Um, mm, I even refrained from doing a lot of videos or taking a lot of pictures over the long holiday weekend. I had 4 days off, just for the simple fact that a lot of it is private, and I don't have. I wasn't going to have permission from everyone to just throw them out here on my YouTube channel and everything. Some people don't like that, so I didn't want to, catch anyone by accident or anything. And not only that, but not that we did anything wrong or anything, but you got a bunch of Gen Xers and a few Boomers out there acting like teenagers, and as entertaining as that might be, um, yeah, no, I didn't want to. I don't really want to share a whole lot of that. Oh God, that would get me banned from ever doing anything again with these people, and they're so much fun. They are so much fun. But everyone was behaved. I mean, yeah, there was some silly stuff going on. Nothing immoral, nothing illegal, nothing like that. Just a bunch of old farts pretending that they were teenagers again. You know. Yes, alcohol was involved on some parts. Uh, Not the whole time though. But everyone just relaxed, let loose. You could be yourself, and we just had such a good time. Everyone did. Yeah, I can't think of anyone that didn't. Um, no drama, no issues, no nothing. My God, Saturday night. Saturday night at my nephew's, it's hard. It's very hard to get a good signal, but for whatever reason, Saturday night my phone was getting a pretty damn good strong signal and everything. And there was a group of us. We were just sitting around and we're playing old songs and all sorts of genres. From bluegrass, country, old rock, classic rock, new songs, hip hop. We just all sorts of songs we're playing. And the thing is, we're all singing too. Now I will say this: we also came to realize that on YouTube and some of these songs that we download, the artist that was singing it, even the original artist, they had the words wrong, so we had to correct them as we were singing. But and it was funny too. Uh, Towards the end of the night, one of the last songs I played, everyone was up there, and not everyone wanted to sing or anything. But I told them before I started the song, I said, "You all will be singing this song." And there was quite a few of them who said, "No, no, no, I don't sing. You're not going to make me sing. You can't do it." I said, "Well, I'm not going to make you do anything." I said, "But every single person here will be singing this song." And the song I played was "Bye Bye Miss American Pie." Now, from my generation and everything, you grew up listening to that, so you cannot help yourself but at least sing the chorus. And oh my God, we did. And there was a couple people in the house. They said they couldn't even hear the music. All they could hear was us singing the chorus and everything. But everyone had a great time. And everybody at the end of it, I said, "See, I told you everyone would be singing." And everyone did. And they all laughed about it. And everyone had a great time. It was a lot of fun. No, I had my phone playing the song, so no, I didn't record that. Although there are some full recordings on other phones of us doing "Stand by Me" and of course "Freebird." And believe it or not, they actually turned out well. I'm going to see if I can't get those and maybe post those. I don't have them on my phone, but I'll see if I can't get them downloaded. It was surprising. We actually sounded good singing those two songs. Because hell, I can't carry a tune in a bucket. Hell, I can't play an instrument. I can't even play the radio right. But but it was fun. Uh, then of course, it was back to work. That was hard. That was a hard transition getting back to work because again, I'm still getting used to the extra hours, the 14-hour shifts, and thank God it was only a 4-day week. But getting home Monday, taking the camper off the truck, unloading the camper, putting everything away, and then getting back into the daily grind. Nobody's fault but my own for being so far out of shape and not being used to it. But man, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I stayed up for an extra 2 hours instead of 45 minutes when I got home last night. I was up for 2 hours instead of, like I said, 45 minutes before I went to bed. Um, so I'm starting to get better. I'm starting to get used to it, but it's still, man, it's still kicking my butt. And I mean, a 14-hour shift, I did that for decades. Honestly, I did that for over 25 years. And just, I haven't done it in 5.5. And it's amazing how quick your body can get used to not doing those hours and how long it takes you, especially when you get a little bit older, to get back in the swing of things. And honestly, we're not as busy as at work as we were 5.5, 6 years ago when the 14-hour shift was my regular shift. I'm about half as busy. Um, and I just think back to back in the day, when I was doing that shift regularly and all the work I did at that time, and it really didn't phase me that much. I was just so used to it. I'd still come home, and it was hard because I wasn't getting home till midnight, but still, there was still things I would do, and I'd be up. It wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to come home and go right to bed now. Now, oh my God, I have to force myself to stay up to get something to eat, take a shower, um, and then go to bed. Honestly, I'm one of those people. Yeah, a lot of times I need 2 showers. I hate going to bed right after work and sleeping in my own filth and waking up nasty. Also in the morning, the shower is what helps wake me up. It's a fresh day, fresh start. So I got to take a shower in the morning too. Hey, Philip. Hey, buddy. Hey, I've been watching your videos. You can tell me about the truck. I've been watching those little videos. It seems every time you turn around, there's something else going on there, bud. I know what that's like. And no, I'm not going to pick on it because just say it's a GM. That happens to any vehicle, no matter what it is. They have their own idiosyncrasies. They have their own little problems and everything. So, I mean, that's just what happens. Even brand new vehicles, my God. It's not like it was 40 years ago where you bought a brand new vehicle and you might have, on the occasion, you might have one or two problems with it every now and then. All right, yeah, I'll wait for you. No problem. But nowadays, good Lord, you buy a brand new vehicle, and not only that, they cost as much as or more than the first house I ever bought. And you can't rely on it. You have it for a week or so, and even if you have a warranty, next thing you know, boom, it's in the shop, and nobody has any idea what's going on. And it stays in the shop for 2 weeks, comes back, has the same friggin' problem, goes back in the shop. It's terrible. It's terrible. And especially for gearheads. Now, yes, I consider myself a bit of a gearhead simply because I don't have enough money to pay somebody to fix my shit for me. So I have to figure it out myself. And yeah, believe it or not, a long time ago, I was ASE certified mechanic in several disciplines. ASE certification, they have several different certifications you can get. It's not just a one-size-fits-all deal. I'm also an A&P mechanic, airframe and power plant, aircraft mechanic. I have my license for that. And yeah, back in my younger days, I worked at a custom Harley shop as well. So, I got a little bit of background on working on things. I don't like doing it for a living, and especially nowadays where you actually need a friggin' computer and it's mostly electronic stuff. The basic mechanical parts that go into a car, an engine especially, really haven't changed a whole lot since the 18 and early 1900s. They've been refined, but it's basically still the same thing. I mean, even your fuel injection. Mechanical fuel injection has been around since the 1920s, to my knowledge. Might even have been a little bit earlier. But a lot of it's electronic now, and to me, that's electronic. That's not mechanical. If If I wanted to work on electronics, I'd be working on computers. Speaking of which, years ago, back in the 90s, yeah, I used to build home computers. Um, Again, programming them, that was a little different. Now, back in the day, they didn't have plug and play components where you just plugged it into the circuit board, the motherboard, and it recognized it and knew what it was. I used to have to go in and change the BIOS and program the address for the new part in, give it all its, oh my God, having a brain fart. Well, tell it what the damn thing, tell the motherboard what it was I just plugged into it, and set it up, give it an address, tell it what it's supposed to do, give it all its parameters and everything. That I could do. To actually write a program or something, yeah, I could do basic stuff. Speaking of basic, yeah, I worked in basic and Cobalt and oh my God, forgot the name of the other operating system, programming system. I knew a little bit of everything there, but that wasn't my thing. I preferred mechanical. That's why I like putting them together. I didn't care for programming. But I like something you can touch with your hands. You can feel it. You can see it. Something tangible. Information, although very important, especially electronic information, you can't grab a hold of it and hold it in your hand and go, oh, that's where it's corrupted. I can see that now. You know, I can see where it's broken. Um, I like that. That's why I like analog stuff. That and for me, that's easier to figure out. I didn't grow up with just electronic everything. I grew up, well, Gen X. I grew up with the transition between analog and electronic. So I know a little bit of both. I know enough to get myself in trouble on both of them. That's about it. And anyway, yeah, it's funny. I don't want a new vehicle. I'd like a different vehicle. I'd like some vehicles, especially for the wife. Something that's more reliable. Something that's I won't even say newer. Let's say either more recently reconditioned in a little bit better shape than what she has. I would like that, but no, I don't. Even if I had the money, I don't think I'd buy a brand new vehicle. I hit the lottery for $300 million. Yeah, I could afford to buy a brand new vehicle every single day. But the problem is, I'd probably have to because I know every day one of the new vehicles would be broke down and have to go in the shop for 2 weeks to find out that they didn't fix the problem to begin with. So it has to go back in the shop again. And even though I got the money, that would just irritate me so much. Although, with that being said, I would be able to take that vehicle out in the back 40 and fill it with C4 and launch it to the fucking moon. And that would probably feel good. But anyway, I'm just kind of killing some time here till Philip shows up. Like I said, I'm just popping on because I haven't been on in a while. And here we go, Philip. How you doing, buddy? Let me get you up here. Hey, there you are.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm around. Let's see if I can't screw it up like I do every time.
Yeah, no, you did fine that time.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay. Well, now I'm trying to scroll on the screen and it's just not working. It's
No,
just
it
makes
won't.
it worse. Oh well. Yeah, I'm out here. It's this damn truck, you know, if it ain't one thing, it's another. It's always something, you know.
Mhm.
Like my cousin Rosanna Dana used to
Oh
say, it's
yeah.
always something.
Yep. I got you, buddy.
Yeah, right now it's leaking in the radiator, and here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to troubleshoot it without having to turn any nuts or bolts yet. You know,
Right.
I'm trying to find exactly what the problem is before I tear into it. You know, and well, that's just how I like to do things. I like to take it slow, think it through. You know,
Oh
troubleshoot it
yeah.
that way.
Yeah. It's
So,
great when you actually have the opportunity to do that too.
mhm.
On the side of the
Yeah,
highway with cars zipping past you at
yep,
70 miles an hour, you don't always have the time
yeah,
to figure
and
something out like that.
that's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it,
Yep.
because I don't want to have that situation where I'm broke down on the side of the highway.
Yep.
And right now, what
Exactly.
it is, see, the truck right now will run and drive fine. I just better keep a couple extra gallons of water on hand.
Oh yeah.
You know, if I got to go to town and back, uh, if I was that desperate. But you know how it goes. That once you start to tear into it, then you're committed.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Yep.
and I don't want to start tearing into it to find out that I was wrong and that the part that I ordered I really didn't need, and
Right.
I now have to order another part. You know,
Yep.
but or you got to do the whole blanket order where you just say screw it, I'll
Yep.
order a new radiator, new hose, new thermostat, new gaskets. You know, you do go the whole 9 yards.
Go the whole 9 yards and then figure out it's leaking behind the timing chain cover.
Yeah,
And
or
it's like
something like that. Yeah.
for
So
a $20 gasket and about 4 hours worth of work, I could
yeah,
have had it fixed. But yeah.
yeah,
And the only reason
but
why I
like
bring that up is because that's exactly what happened to me on my Dodge, not being, being a Ford guy, not knowing about the Dodge that well.
yeah,
The first time it started leaking, I was like, well, I thought it was the water pump. No, no.
yeah. Well, and you know what? I I don't have any experience with those Dodge trucks, but that seems to be a common thing amongst them Dodges is the water pumps on them, especially with those not the old Magnum motors or the LA motors, but with that newer generation Hemi block design.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, they had a lot of water pump problems with that, and I guess they're a real pain in the ass. I mean, it's enough to where as you're scrolling through YouTube, you'll come across a video on some guy having to work on a Dodge water pump.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you see, with the LA engines and even the Magnum engines, it's not so much the water pump, it was that timing chain cover. Because it just sits flat. The front of that engine,
Yeah.
where the timing chain cover goes, there's no
Uh-huh.
bosses, there's no nothing. It's flat, completely flat. And of course, the engine block's cast iron. The timing chain cover is aluminum.
Yeah.
All it takes is when you're putting it back together, all it takes is you crank down too tight on one bolt, not enough on
Yeah.
the other, or even over time, vibrations, you
Yeah.
know, the heat
Yeah.
cycles and everything, dissimilar
Yeah.
metals, you know,
Yeah.
and then you get that little leak just in that thin gasket, and it works its way through over time. And you swear to God, if you're not familiar with it, first thing that goes through your mind is, well, it's a water pump or it's a water pump gasket.
Right.
If you're not familiar with it, then you start looking, you go, no, no, it's behind the water pump. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, back some 25 years ago, oh, uh, my grandfather was a Dodge guy,
Yeah.
and he had an old Dodge very much like yours. It was like an 84, 85, 86 Dodge pickup truck. And, and he wanted to get himself a new truck, and he wanted to get that new Dodge Dakota at the time that is
Okay.
like a
Yeah.
2000, 2001, 2002, something like that. And that was a nice little truck. And they had
Oh
an
yeah.
entirely different engine in that. It was a 4.8 liter V8
Yep.
with overhead cams on it. And I'll tell you what, being in that little Dodge Dakota, even though it was only 4.8 liters, I'll tell you what, that 4.8 liter with overhead cams, that thing would really scoot.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
And he
It's
enjoyed that truck. And And when he passed away in 2011, I know he still had that truck. And I had a half a mind to call his wife and say, hey, can I have that truck? But I just didn't,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's
But
like
that
the
was a
wife.
nice little truck.
It's,
Those 4.8 V8s, they seem to be good engines.
yeah, well, it's like the wife's Jeep. She has the of course, Jeep it's a '99, so of course it's Chrysler product, but it has a
Right.
4.7 V8 in it,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you that is a zippy little engine. It's got quite a bit of power for what it is.
Well,
Well, not
that
not not the same as a double overhead cam, but
yeah,
it's
that
a nice engine.
that 2014 cheap Cherokee that you keep seeing me working on,
Yeah.
uh, that's got I think it's a 3.4 liter V6 transverse mounted,
Oh yeah.
and that motor is okay with the one exception that they all have, both the 3.4 and the 3.6, is that damn oil cooler thing that they put in it. But I guess it is the 3.7s that they had. Those are just bad engines all the way around, and you're constantly seeing videos about that 3.7. So yeah, I guess that would be the heads up that if you're looking for a Jeep product that has a transverse mounted engine, you got to stay away from that 3.7. The 3.4s and the 3.6s aren't so bad, but that 3.7 was. I guess they knew that it was bad, so they just quit making it, quit producing it, and redesigned it. And when they redesigned it, what they came up with was a 3.6
I got you.
V6.
Yep.
You see, so. But
Damn. I'm sorry, and me personally, again, I went through a little bit of a spiel here at the beginning of the live stream.
yeah,
Now I've gotten to the age, I don't want a new vehicle. I don't want anything transverse
yeah,
mounted. Give me the old
yeah. Give me the old stuff.
stuff. And matter of fact,
Yep.
to a certain extent, the older the better. Now, when I say to
Yeah.
a certain extent, hey, I kind of like the roller cam engines, okay? Especially
Uh-huh.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Back in the day, that was all. If you had a roller cam engine, that was all high performance stuff. Now it's
Oh yeah,
commonplace that manufacturers are producing roller cam stuff.
yeah,
But that's what I'm thinking's happened here. I think I mentioned in one of my videos, the last video that I produced, that you can hear this engine ticking, and this was a
yeah,
replacement engine. And I
yeah.
think the guys that now the engine was installed from the dealership. The fellow who owned this truck before, when he needed a new engine, he took it to a dealership. Dealership ordered him a brand new engine straight from GM.
Yep.
But when you do that, they send it to you in crate form, and when they send it to dealerships, they expect the SAE or the AS
ASC.
what's this?
Yeah,
ASC
ASC.
certified mechanics
Yep.
to know what the hell they're doing.
Yep.
And the point is that you got to use the correct break-in oils
Right.
and follow certain procedures. And I think they didn't do that. And so even though this engine doesn't have a whole lot of miles on it, the engine was new in 2022. And I just don't think that they did the proper break-in procedures. And now that I think they flattened the lobes on the one side of the cam,
Well,
all
here's the
this
thing, though.
all
That
the cylinders on the driver's side are ticking.
that engine, if it's that new, that should, I don't know a whole lot about GMs, but that should be roller cam.
Well, it is. That's that 5.3 liter engine. Now, here's the thing. When they replaced the engine, they didn't replace it with the correct engine. This engine actually would have the LS LQ iron block engine in it.
Okay.
And it was replaced with an LS all aluminum block
Oh shit.
engine. So it's not going to be a heavy duty engine, but this is only a 1500 truck,
Yeah.
just a half ton truck. And it's not going to see that kind of use and abuse. In fact, the guy that owned this truck before me, he had it set up for doing way more work than what the truck was designed to do. He
Yeah.
had the thing set up. He's got all these accessory lights and trailer brakes because he had a gooseneck camper trailer, a big, huge one. He was overloading the truck, and that's probably why he need to have an engine replaced in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And And then when he had the engine replaced, he probably knew that that aluminum block isn't going to withstand the abuse. So he just
Right.
started just using it. And he went and got himself another truck. And at that point, that's when he decided to sell this one. And uh, I looked the truck over, and yeah, sure, it's got a bunch of problems, but you know what? It runs, it drives, it's got air conditioning, and it wasn't bad priced. You know,
Yeah.
I could certainly afford it, and that's just that's why I have it. You see,
Oh yeah, I
as long
got
as it runs and drives and works and will serve its purpose, that's all I care about. And it doesn't look too bad.
you.
You
Yeah.
get on the underside, it looks kind of rough, but you know what? That's nothing that can't be fixed. And at one point, you just make up your mind whether or not you want to get that deep into it. Is the
Right.
truck worth the thousands of dollars of investment in just repairs? You know, so here's how I look at it. If the truck falls apart, I know that the engine is still relatively new, and it is an all aluminum LS
Hmm.
5.3. That engine's worth hanging on to. The engine and
Oh
trans is
yeah.
still worth hanging on to.
Yeah. Well, I
You know,
mean,
so
I'll be honest with you, Phil. It's kind of like my truck. All right. Now it needs literally it needs a bunch of work. Okay, it
yeah,
really does. But it's my daily driver, and it does
right,
what I want it to do right now.
right.
I will never restore, quote unquote, restore this vehicle. Okay,
Uh,
I will keep it running best I can for the next 20 years, but I'm never going to restore it. Okay, and I
yeah,
don't care
so
about
just
it.
keep it a running truck is what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and as long as it does what I want it to do, and it does, I ask a lot of it. You know,
Yeah,
I ask it to carry a 2,000 pound camper. I ask
yeah,
it, to do all sorts of heavy truck stuff. I use it
yeah,
as a truck. Okay, and
yeah,
that's also why I don't worry too much about how it actually looks because I bought a brand new truck in 1990. It was an '89 leftover, and the
yeah. I
thing,
remember you telling me that.
yeah, brand new, immaculate. You have no idea how much stress I was going through because I was using that as a truck as well. But every little scratch, got dirt on it. I was,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
bothered me. This,
yeah,
this, excuse me, this truck, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about dinging it. I'm not worried about scratching it, especially
yeah.
not scratching it because I painted the whole thing with a rattle can, with spray paint. So I
Right.
can just go to Lowe's or go to Walmart, pick up another can and touch up what got scratched. But like you said too, even though I will be putting money into it to keep it running over the next 20 years, including this engine that's not in it yet,
Yeah,
I've only got, yeah, I got about, well, because I had to buy the damn transmission, but I got about $9,000 in the truck total. And
yeah,
like I said, that's with the $4,000 engine sitting in my
yeah,
shed that I haven't put in it yet.
yeah.
Now, for a 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive truck
Uh,
that I use every day, and I also use as a truck, that's relatively speaking, that's pretty much inexpensive. It really is. My nephew
yeah,
just bought a half-ton truck for over $100,000.
yeah,
A friend of his bought another half-ton truck a few years ago, $80,000.
yeah,
Okay, and they're 4-wheel drive and everything,
yeah,
but they're half tons. I got a 3/4 ton that can haul literally because of the modifications to suspensions and the axles as well. Literally, it can safely haul, and I'm not talking, well, yeah, if you add the weight of the truck in there too, it can safely go over 14,000 pounds. The only thing I have to worry about is tires. They don't make tires,
yeah,
for that'll
yeah.
hold that
Like,
much.
yeah, right, right.
But yeah, and like I said, for even 10,000, I get 10,000 into it. That's for a truck that can do that and do it every day.
Yeah,
That's a damn
yeah,
good deal.
yeah. It's just prices have just gotten out of control.
Yep.
I hate to sound like the old man that uh of years ago who would
Hmm.
sit there and complain about the prices of things, but now that I'm old, I get it. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah, same thing. And
it's
I get a kick
stuff
out
has
of that.
just got. It's just the price have gotten way out of control for whatever it is, no matter what it is that you're buying. It's just ridiculous. You know,
Oh, I got
and
you. And I used to get a kick out of my mom as I got older, and I'd see her with my younger nephews and nieces and everything for
yeah,
a birthday present. I put a whole dollar in their card. Don't tell anyone, but I gave them
yeah,
a whole dollar.
oh
And I
yeah.
said, "Well, yeah, well, that's cool, Ma, and I understand because when I was a kid, you gave me a shiny fucking nickel, you know."
I can remember. I can remember being a kid. Let me tell you this story real quick. I was a little kid. My mother had this 1955 Cadillac. And if you remember those old Cadillacs, where the gas filler was inside the taillight lens.
Yes,
You'd
yes,
actually have to
yes.
push on the reflector, and that was actually a catch release. And then you opened up the taillight lens, and there'd be the filler neck.
Yep.
And I loved going to the gas station with my mother because I'd have to tell the gas station attendant where to put the gas,
Yep.
But here's my point. That I can remember my mother would put all the kids in the Cadillac and go off and do the grocery shopping and whatever. You went with your mother everywhere. See, there was no babysitters back then,
Yep.
And when we got to the grocery store, if we had misbehaved, we were made to sit in the car and wait for her to go to the
Oh
grocery
yeah.
store.
Yep.
You sat in the car. And that's where you do things like play around with the cigarette lighters and burn your sister and all the kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But here's where I'm going with that. So she would pull up to the gas station, and this back in the day, there was no self-serve. Guys came
Right.
out and pumped your gas for you. And my mother would get $2 or $3 worth of gas, and we'd drive around that big old Cadillac all day
yeah.
running all these errands on $2 or $3 gas. But here's the thing. That would have gotten you 10 gallons worth of gasoline in those days.
Yeah.
$3, 10 gallons of gas. So
Oh, I got you. I remember when my dad, when I was young, he had a Ford 68, I believe it was, F-250, and he had a slide-in camper. This is where I get it
yeah,
from. This is where I like
yeah,
this stuff.
yeah.
And I remember him throwing a fit when the gas prices reached 52 cents a gallon.
Oh yeah.
I remember him
I got
just
my own
going,
story like that.
yeah, just going, nope, that's it. Can't go camping no more. And you got to realize at the time too, though, he was working on the railroad. My God, when he retired in 1977, he was making $32 an hour.
Yeah, which was big money.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's good money right now. You can
Yeah,
live on
yeah, you can live
$32
on
an
that.
hour. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's a decent wage right now.
yeah,
You let alone
yeah. You
back
can
in.
live on it, but you ain't buying no new bass boat. I'll tell you that.
No, but
But
and think about this
that was
though.
just like my dad. My dad made good money back in the day, and I
Yep.
can remember being a kid, and I would sit down with my mother at the dining table because my mother would be trying to balance the checkbook, and she'd have me help her because she knew I was good at math, and my job was to double check her math. You see.
Yep.
And the point is that I would see what my dad was making. He was bringing home a $350 paycheck back in those days.
Oh
And
yeah.
that was big money. With that kind of money, we had a summer home, we had a motorboat, we had
Yeah.
mini bikes, we had snowmobiles. You can't live on $350 a week now.
Oh no. Oh my God.
You know?
That wouldn't even pay for my cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly.
You
The
know.
cigarettes and beer, you go through that. But here's the story that I was talking about. What I used to tell the grandkids here when they were boys was that when I first started driving, we had that OPEC oil embargo that caused the gasoline to skyrocket
Oh
to
yeah.
a ridiculously high 77 cents a gallon.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And here I'm driving a big block Oldsmobile, and I was just pissed about that. I was mad as hell about gasoline going to 77 cents. It like doubled overnight because gasoline was 35 cents a gallon prior to that.
Yep.
So
Yeah. What you're speaking about is about the same time that my dad was flipping out,
yep,
raising to 52, and then it went up again. It kept going up, like you were saying.
yep.
And then you had the lines, and you could only fill up
And then when I
every
was
other day, and
when
stuff
I was
like that.
16, I was working at a gas station, a Shell gas station, where they had two islands. One was the full serve and one was the self-serve. And the self-serve was about trying to keep gas prices low. And
Right.
that self-serve pump started getting busy, you know, but we still had a full serve, but the gas was more expensive at the full serve pump. But here's where I'm going with that those pumps at that time, they were not ever engineered or designed or built to handle gas prices over $1 a gallon.
Right. Yeah. I
So
remember
what we
that.
had to
Yep.
do is we had to recalibrate the pumps so that the price that you saw on the pump was for half gallon, and we had to
Right.
put a sticker on there. And that used to make people mad because they'd start pumping their gas, and the dollar amount would say $10, and you tell them, well, you owe us $20. That's $20 worth of gas. And they're like, it says only $10 on the pump. Yeah, but that's price per half gallon. You
Yeah.
see, it used to make people mad. But here, let me just finish out with this story. While I was working there, here comes this Corvette pulling up into the full service lane. And I jump out and I go right up to the car. Yes, sir. How can I help you? You know, and he looks at me, tells me, fill it up and check the oil. Yes, sir. You know, and the whole time I was doing that, I was thinking, God, this guy looks familiar. This guy looks familiar. Why does he look familiar to me? And then when I'm done and I told him what the amount was going to be, he hands me this credit card, an American Express card. And in those days, you had to go back in
Right.
the store
Yep.
and get the old credit card machine with the old
Yep.
slide thing.
Yep.
But as he handed me the credit card and I'm ringing it up, I see the name Robert Conrad.
Oh, no shit.
Yep. And then I got to take it back and I had to have him sign the
Yep.
receipt and everything. And he got the top copy, and there was carbon copies in those days.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
the bottom copy had to be filed in the cash register as part of sales. But I
Right.
kept the carbon copy
Yep.
of Robert Conrad's signature. And here's the thing. I later found out why he was in town, because they were shooting a movie starring Robert Conrad just up the road. And many years later, I happened to come across that movie on a DVD, you
Yep.
know, and I had that for the longest time. It's a bad movie. It's not a very good movie, but it's a movie about him being a coach for an orphanage where he's trying to establish a football team from this orphanage, you see.
Okay.
I don't even remember what the name of the movie is now, but yeah, that's my story. That I get to my brush with greatness was being able to pump Robert Conrad's gas. You remember David Letterman back in the early days of David Letterman? He used to go through the audience and ask them their stories of brush with greatness. Well, that's my brush with greatness. And I've got one other one where I got to meet Gallagher, the comedian Gallagher. He was coming to our local theater to do one of his shows, and he was very popular at that time, you know?
Yep.
And so when I heard that he was coming, I went straight down to the theater on the very day that the tickets went on sale. And already the whole ground floor of the theater was sold out already. And this is before online stuff, you know? But people could call in. You could call in for tickets, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And pay for them with credit card or whatever. But the point is that show was nearly all sold out. The only seats that were already available was balcony seats, right? And there was a front row balcony seat, because if you're in the balcony, the only good seat is the front row.
Yeah.
You know, every seat after that, you almost can't even see the stage.
Yep.
But I did get front row balcony, and I bought 2 tickets, and my intent was to probably try to find a girl to take on a date with. And I was asking girls, and I was getting turned down. That the night of the theater, I had no one else to go with me, so I told my brother, I says, "Hey, you want to go with me to the Gallagher show?" You know.
Oh, yeah.
So me and my brother go to this Gallagher show. We get into the theater and we find our seats. We're there at front row. And all of a sudden I hear this voice off to my left saying, "Geez, these are lousy seats. When did you buy your tickets? 5 minutes ago?" And I turn and I look, and it's Gallagher standing right there, you know, right next to me. So I got to shake his hand. I'm like, "Hey, it's Gallagher." And then I'm nudging my brother saying, "Hey, look, it's Gallagher," you know. And then the whole damn theater starts noticing that here's Gallagher standing next to me on the balcony just prior to the show starting, you know. And he had a drink in his hand. He had this little plastic cup that looked like it was probably a rum and Coke. I don't know. You know, it had a little ice in it. And he's looking over he's standing on the balcony right next to me, looking over the crowd that's down in the main floor, and everybody's looking up at him, hollering his name and waving to him. So he takes his hand, and he dips his fingers into his drink, and he starts blessing the audience like the Pope, you know. So that's my other brush with greatness.
I growing up, when we moved from the house I grew up in, okay, and we moved, had a neighbor, and not overly famous or anything, but what he was anything that came into our local area, he was like a producer, and he would set up the venues and everything for where everyone was going to play. Like oh my God, BB King, Reba McEntire, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, you know, anything come through. Well, part of that was I got to meet a lot of these people, you know, which was pretty cool. But the biggest thrill I got, even to this day, and I'll tell you what, my dad was in seventh heaven, Reba McEntire. Okay. He always loved, he was big into country music anyway. And
I love that Reba McEntire anyway. She's just everything about her. I love her personality, everything.
Oh my God. She is so down to earth too. She really is. She's such a sweetheart.
She is earthy.
Because I came downstairs. I was staying at the folks' place. I came downstairs. Who's sitting at the kitchen table having coffee with my mother while my dad is cooking breakfast? Is Reba McEntire.
No kidding.
Okay, yeah, and he's cooking her breakfast and everything, and they're just carrying on, just just like a regular neighbor and everything. I'm sitting there
like a neighbor or a family member.
Yeah, and oh my God, she loved my dad to death. She really did. She just, from the first time she met him and everything, she's just like, oh my God, you know. And my dad at this time, he's still in his he was in his late 70s, early 80s. At the time, and I mean, she just thought he was just the sweetest guy, and which he was, you know, which he was. But I mean, that just made his whole day for the rest of his life. He said, "I cooked breakfast for Reba McEntire right here, right here." She sat right in this chair, right at this table, and everything. And my God, anytime she was in town, she would make it a point to come over, whether she was hungry or not, or whether it was, what time of day, or whatever. She would stop in so that my dad could cook her breakfast.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
my wife's story of brush with greatness is this story. This goes back to when we were just first dating. This is before we were married. We were first dating, and my mother lived in town, and I'd already taken my girlfriend, my future wife, to meet my mother, you know, and then when the time came for me to meet her mother lives over here on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi.
Okay.
And so I'm on the Gulf Coast of Florida here, and we had to drive over there. And of course, you take a 2-hour drive. You don't just pop in for a couple of hours and then drive back. You stick around. But while we were driving out there, my wife was telling me that her mother's main claim to fame is, or her brush with the greatness was, that when she was a little girl, she lived in Tupelo, and they lived in this little neighborhood, and it was a poor neighborhood. And her mother grew up, doing all the stuff that, with the old wash tub out in the yard, and you had to hand wash laundry, and there were no refrigerators, nothing like that. No air conditioning. They were just little tiny shotgun houses. And it was just this little neighborhood, a poor neighborhood. But her being one of the older girls in the neighborhood at that time, she was like 12 or 13 years old. And any of those girls that age, their responsibility was to watch over all the little kids while the mothers did the laundry and did the cooking and did the cleaning. It was the older girl's responsibility to watch all the young kids, keep an eye on them. And one of those kids that her mother used to have to keep an eye on all the time was this little 4 or 5-year-old boy by the name of Elvis Presley.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
No kidding. I'll be damned. My now my dad's sister, my aunt, up in Maine. My folks are from Maine. Um, lifelong friend, and somebody again would always make it a point when he was in the area to stop by and spend the day as much time as he could with my aunt, and it was James Garner.
Oh yeah,
Rockford
yeah,
Files and stuff like
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
another person, another one, salt of the earth. Just you get them along, and they're normal, just absolutely
yeah,
normal, friendly. Oh my God, he was friendly too. He's like, um, very interested. And I was a kid when I first met him, but I met him several times. And he'd always at house school going, what are you doing? Oh, you're into motorcycles now. What kind of motorcycle you ride and everything. And he'd tell me stories and everything. And also, all right, now be careful, you know, and listen to
yeah.
your mom and all this other stuff. And I mean, just a nice guy. Just
Yeah, that James Garner, when he started doing Rockford Files, that was nearing the end of his career. He
yep.
was he was a big star, and going back to the 50s
Mm-hmm.
and throughout all the 60s, and in the 60s and 70s, because of his wealth and fame, he would spend that money. He was more of a a racer than anything,
Oh yeah. Oh
motorsports
my God.
racer, and he was into everything. When he did that movie Grand Prix, you know, he actually had one of those cars, and he did some of the driving for that movie. Just like
Yeah. Yep.
Steve McQueen and Paul Newman did
Yep.
that same
Yep.
kind of stuff too. Steve McQueen did all of his own motorcycle stunts in that movie,
The Great Escape.
The Great Escape. Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, we know that Paul Newman always raced, but that was the same thing with James Garner. And James Garner did it. It didn't stop there either. He was big in the at once upon a time. The Baja 1000 was a big sport.
Oh yeah. Yep.
In the For those who don't know, the Baja 1000 was a race from like San Diego, California, all the way down to the tip of the Baja of California in Mexico. It's 1,000-mile long race that's got no roads.
Nope.
It's just cross country racing. And yeah, James Garner used to compete in that a lot.
Oh my God. I remember in the 80s, especially when I was stationed out in California, you could find the quote unquote Baja buggies just all
Yeah,
over the place. And I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you pick them up for $100, $200,
Oh yeah,
for the used ones, not for the professional ones.
yeah,
But even the professional ones, because they were always upgrading them and everything. And then as it
yeah,
started to, not get so popular, even those good race quality, competition quality one, you can pick it up for about $2,000.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean
I
these
can
were
remember.
vehicles even back then that had $5,000, $6,000, which back then was a lot of money invested in them. And the guy's like, fuck, it's been sitting for a year. I'm not going to drive it. Oh, give me 2 grand. It's worth eight. I got 8,000 into it. Give me two
I got to
grand,
check on my kitty.
and you can have it. They were all over the place.
Had to let my cat out of the house. Sorry
I
about that.
gotcha. Yeah, no problem, man. Well, I've had to get up and get a couple beers anyway, so.
I can remember that time just before I was going to get my driver's license, and I'm trying to eyeball stuff, and you get the old uh, J.C. Whitney catalogs,
Oh my God, yes.
you know, and
Yep.
in that at that time, a lot of those Baja bugs were real popular, and
Yep.
they'd have all kinds of parts. And that was my thought. I thought to myself, I'll find an old Volkswagen Beetle and I'll turn it into a dune buggy,
Yep.
you know. And at that time, you could actually buy those. What was they called? The Manx minis or something like that. You could actually buy that fiberglass body
Oh
at that
yeah.
time, which was
Yep.
that was the most popular of all the dune buggy bodies at that
Yep.
time. Was those Manx bodies? But yeah, I remember all that. And that was my fantasy. I'd sit there with the Warshawskis or the J.C. Whitney catalog or whatever it's called, the Warshawskis, just flipping through there and go straight to all the Volkswagen parts stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. We when I was young, I was about maybe Oh, somewhere between 10, 12 years old. You know, I started riding motorcycles when I was 7.
Yeah.
I had my own
Yeah.
by that time. And we were out in the trails. You know, they're just dirt bikes and everything. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, I had what I was riding at the time was a Harley Davidson SX 125. I think it was
125. Yeah, I remember those.
yeah,
And
I think it
we
was a
had the little trail
72.
bike 90s too.
Oh
We
yeah,
had a trail bike 90s for a while, and I had a friend of mine that got that 125. I remember those. Those were actually 2-cycle engines in those
Oh
bikes
yeah, yep. Single
that were
cylinder,
actually built. The engines were actually made in Italy.
Italy. Yep, yep.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, I
and
remember those.
oh, and here's the thing too, because this was a big deal when I was racing, for Can-Am and everything.
Yeah,
The Italian shocks, the Marzucci shock absorbers. I mean,
uh-huh.
especially the front end. They were the bee's knees. They were the top of the line that you could get at the time.
Yeah, yeah. That was the part that you wanted.
Yeah, those little Harleys.
Yeah,
That's what they had on them stock.
yeah, yeah,
They had the Italian and I mean that was honest to God those little bikes, those little Harleys, they were so over engineered. That's why they didn't do so well racing because they were a heavy bike
yeah.
with a small engine, but they were a tank. They were definitely a tank. You could do whatever you wanted to them. Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
I used to do dirt bike riding back when before I had a driver's license.
yep,
And we started out on little mini bikes and kind of gradually went up. And there was always those guys that were taking it real serious, and their dads would buy them real nice bikes. And the bike to have back then was either the Bultaco
yep,
or the Husqvarna.
Husqvarna.
And there was one other one too. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh,
But the reason why I mentioned that is because I was flipping through YouTube one day and I came across one of the other guys that I subscribe to. He travels all over the country just looking at in junkyards and stuff, and he's finding all kinds of stuff.
yep,
And he's a guy like you and I that he takes an interest in anything from old cars to old bikes, anything. He knows his viewing audience, so he finds that kind of stuff that people want to see. And he came across some old motorcycle junkyard where they had those all of the old BSAs, those
Yep.
early Hondas that look like scooters,
Oh yeah.
the old Bultacos, the Husqvarnas.
Yep.
And I'm like, I can remember back in the day when that was the bike to have. Nothing could beat a Husqvarna on a dirt track,
KTM was another one, and
Yep.
so was Hodaka.
Hadaka, yep. I remember the Hadakas.
I had a Hodaka Ace 100. Okay,
Yeah.
and the weird thing about
100cc 2-cycles, right?
yeah, the weird thing
Yeah, they
about
were
that
quick.
was the shift pattern was reverse.
Reverse, yep.
Yeah, first gear was all the way up, and you just kept stomping on the son of a bitch and
Yeah.
just kept going down instead of lifting your foot up. Yeah,
Yep.
the first time I rode it, oh, I was all screwed up. I was backwards. I'm trying to start out, and I can't remember if it had 4 or 5 gears. I think it had 5.
I think it had 5, yeah.
Yeah,
Which was a lot of gears back then.
Yep, it was.
You know?
Now I'm trying to start out in fifth friggin' gear. I never did find neutral. I could get in between the gear.
Yeah.
You know how that happens.
Yeah. A lot of those bikes were like that.
Yeah.
Regardless of the name brand, it was always like next to impossible to find neutral.
Yep. Yep.
You'd have to sit there. If you were riding it and you were trying to find it, just forget it. Just kill the bike, reach down with your hand, and screw around with that shift lever for 5 minutes trying to find neutral,
Oh my God. Now on some of the bikes, it wasn't a big deal because you just say, all right, screw it. Pull in the clutch, crank it over. On the Harley, if you pulled the clutch in, it disconnected the kicker from the engine. You couldn't turn the engine over with the clutch in. So in other words, if you could not find neutral, if you were in gear, you had 2 choices. You could either push it and push start it,
right?
Or like you said, you sat there for 5 or 10 minutes
trying to find that neutral.
Friggin' neutral, because if you pulled the clutch in and tried to kick it over, it was nothing.
There was nothing, right? You had to have the clutch out.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, because the kick lever did just that. It rotated the clutch.
Right.
The whole clutch itself.
The whole clutch instead of being on the output shaft or anything like that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
Son of a bitch.
That Honda Goldwing that I have. Now that's a super nice bike. It's top of the line. It's the luxury model, but still, and it's a 2008, and still, even in 2008, you play hell trying to find neutral.
Yeah.
And it's worse when the engine's running, because you can see what they did was they designed the thing so that the shifts are just super smooth.
Yep.
And something tells me that they designed the thing to be super smooth shifts. So you don't feel the bike herk and jerk,
Right.
The shifts are real smooth. But because of that, while the engine's running, you're trying to find neutral. You just barely touch that lever and it goes into the next gear. You're trying to sit there to try to find that neutral gear and you can't. So you're best off to just shut it off and then find neutral.
Then rock it a little bit and then go, oh yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yep. And the problem with that is if you're on any kind of a grade other than flat level ground, you shut the bike off in gear and you're trying to rock a 900-pound motorcycle back and forth to try to find neutral. You're not going to do it.
No.
No.
So, and, Christ almighty, all right. Now, I've been bitching about electronics and everything on vehicles. This is the only one I don't bitch about. And it's something that I never had until recently. And that was up on the dash on the bike I have right now. It's the first bike I ever had one that had it. It has that little green neutral light that comes on. I'm like, oh man, this is fucking awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. Because I don't know, I've matter of fact, I even have a video out that shows all the bikes I've had throughout my life. And there's got to be about 20 of them.
Did I see that one? I think I saw that one.
Possible. Yeah, it's an older video. It's about 4 years old.
I think I did see that one.
But even on the newest Harley that I bought, the 883 back in the 80s when they first came out, that didn't even have a neutral light on it. Yeah. Okay.
That is, speaking of bikes, that's how we even met one another, was having a conversation about that basket case Honda CB750 Super Sport chopper that I had.
Oh my God. Yes.
I think I still got that video up too somewhere.
Yep.
Hey, listen, let me put you on hold for just a second.
All right.
While I go in and get myself a smoke. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hold on.
All right. Not a problem, man. Yeah. This is cool.
I can still hear you though.
All right, buddy. Well, that's good because I'm going to talk about you, but it's going to be good.
Let me turn off the cartoons.
Having Philip on here, I mean, this should be. I really should start titling these live streams as Sidewinder and Philip III. Live streams. But man, it is always a pleasure to have you on.
Show.
You keep the conversation going. We can bounce off each other, tell stories, because we're both, whether we're good at it or not, you're a little bit better than me, but telling stories, and we get into all sorts of tangents. And I really enjoy this. And I can't say it enough. I mean, it's awesome always having you on. I kind of look forward to it. I'm kind of like, those couple months where we kept missing each other.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why a lot of my live streams were, all right, he was on for 10 minutes. Why? Well, even I didn't realize it at the time. Philip's not here. I mean, you come on and we just gab until finally one of us says,
that's why it ends up lasting an hour and a half, 2 hours long.
Oh, hell yeah. Till one of us finally says, look, dude, I honestly have got to go and do something,
Yeah.
But and with that being said too, again, I keep bringing them up, but Bear Rose, Kim.
Yeah.
Awesome dude, and I really do miss him.
I haven't seen a whole lot from him,
Yeah.
But whenever something pops up, I make a comment, give him words of encouragement, that kind of stuff,
Yep. Same here. Yeah. And but I mean, well, one, I miss being on his live stream, especially when he used to do it every Sunday night and everything.
Yeah, that was fun.
And with that being said, I don't know if it's credit or if it's blame, but either way, it's his fault that I do this shit myself. It's all because of him. So if anybody,
well, I think it should be credit and not blame at all, because it's fun and we're having a good time and it's
Oh
It's
no,
healthy. You know, you're making friends.
me personally, I give them all the credit in the world.
Some kind of
It's
noise coming down the road here.
it's just some of the people that might hop on and go, Sidewinder, what the hell are you doing? Why do you even bother with the live? Well, in that perspective, yeah, that's all Kim from Bear Rose Garage. That's all his fault.
See, this is the kind of neighborhood I live in. You see tractors driving down the road.
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. That's awesome. Oh my god. Oh, speaking of which,
He's
Philip.
got a log splitter on the back too.
Yeah.
So we know what he's up to today. I
Did
can't
you
hear a word you're saying with the volume of that tractor right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a question to ask of you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last weekend, I put up a short video. It's only a minute long, and it's a video of me because I went to my nephew's over Labor Day weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
If
The
you
one
had,
of you on the quad runner.
yeah, so you
Yeah,
did see it. You did
yeah,
see it. The lady
yeah.
that I'm toting around, she lives there. That's she owns part of it and
Uh-huh.
everything. And she wanted to get out so bad. She's I know she's going to kill me for saying this and telling
Yeah,
everyone, but she's having some issues with her knees. Eventually, they're going to
right.
have to be replaced. But she wanted to get out. She wanted to have some fun because she saw everybody else out on the quads.
Yeah,
That's actually her quad that I'm driving.
I
All right,
see.
that's actually hers. But she wanted to get out, But you know how things go, especially when you got some physical problems.
Yeah,
So we set her up like Granny from the Clampets,
yeah, yeah. I
from
noticed
Beverly
that.
Hillbillies. And Philip, I haven't shown the other videos yet, but I had to take her out 3 times. She just
Yeah, well, sure.
enjoyed herself
Yeah, we'll
so
save it.
much.
It'll make for good content. You know, so long
Yeah.
as you put it in like a mini series,
Yep.
it should be good. I think I sent you a link for something too, didn't I? In response to that, because it reminded me of that. I can't remember
Oh
what it
my
was.
God. Yes. Yes, she did. And I'm sorry right now. I can't. I'm
No,
like
I
you. I'm
can't.
having a brain fart.
Yeah,
But
me
yes,
too.
I saw it.
I,
Now, when you sent it
I,
to me, I couldn't watch it. That's the problem. I wasn't getting a good enough signal.
uh,
I did get it, but I know I looked at it. The problem is I probably looked at it when I got home,
yeah.
and I've been wiped out the whole week. So,
Yeah,
trying to
I don't even
retain.
remember what it was now, but it was funny in the
Yep,
moment,
yep,
And that's I saw your video, and I'm like, geez, that reminds me of this, and I
yep.
sent you a link, like I said, right now I can't remember what it was now, but it was
It
funny in the moment,
yeah, it'll come to us as soon as we hang out. It'll be like, oh
Yeah.
my God, yep, yep, I got it.
What's
But
going to
yeah,
happen is this is going to bother me, and as soon as we're done with this show today, I'm going to have to get on the phone and go through my history and find what it was.
oh, I got
Oh,
you.
but we have to talk about this.
Okay.
You remember talking about the phone pranks that you would pull on people with the
Oh my
text
God,
messaging?
yes, yes, yes. I got the text
And
from
I
you.
said at the
Yeah.
time, I got to try to pull that on the gal that lives down the street. And I said, I don't think she'll fall for it. She's too sharp.
Yep.
But she did,
Yep.
because I'm texting her from my phone, telling her that I've lost my phone.
Yeah.
Could you please call it so I can find it? She fell for it.
Oh
She
my.
was quick to figure it out, though.
Oh yeah, I
She's
got
like,
you.
"Wait a minute, you're calling from your phone." But it was funny for a minute.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. No, I remember you sending that to me, and I remember reading it. You sent me a screenshot of her reply, your
The
conversation,
conversation,
and
the text
everything. Yeah.
messaging back and forth. Yeah, I'm texting her from my phone, telling her
Yep.
that I've lost my phone. you know, and could you please call it? And then she actually writes back, "Well, which phone?"
Yeah. My phone. Okay. Well, wait. What phone are you
Yeah,
texting me on? My phone.
yeah.
Now, I can't remember her response, or at least you didn't show it. If that had been my wife, it would have only been 2 words. You asshole.
Well, for me, it would
Yeah.
have either been that word or the words "you idiot."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, to my wife, it means the same thing when she's referring to me.
Yeah,
So they're kind of interchangeable.
yeah.
because sometimes
That's
she
true.
can't tell if I'm actually that stupid or if I'm doing it on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I got a kick out of that. Yeah. Matter of fact, I did. I did show it to the wife and I told her the whole story. And yeah, she did call me an asshole too, because if you remember, I had done it to her. Yeah. Matter of fact, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool though. That's cool. That's
It,
fun,
it,
man.
it's fun to, it's fun,
Yeah.
and
And it's harmless.
humor is just something that I enjoy,
Yep.
you know, and even if it's a subtle little prank or something,
Mhm.
it's always fun. And I'm not above or beneath even self-deprecating humor.
Oh my God.
I'll
Yeah.
make fun of myself.
Yep.
You know, some of my funniest jokes are just that, self-deprecating jokes.
Oh yeah. Well, see, same here, because some of my stories, I end up being the butt of the
The butt of
joke,
the joke, right?
the story and everything. And it's kind of like, I will tell you this much though. That was something I had to work on. It really was. My
If
nephew,
you can't laugh at yourself, you're just
right,
not going to be able to laugh. It's
and,
not right for you to laugh at others.
right, and it took me a while to realize that too. It really
Yeah,
did. But one of the biggest influences on that was my nephew Claude. All growing up, he's 3 years younger than me, and we're like brothers. Okay,
yeah,
but all time growing up, he was the first one to realize, oh my God, I just did something stupid. And he would be the first one to laugh
yeah,
and laughed aloud and genuinely. It,
yeah,
it was genuine. He's like, oh my God, I can see what that looked like from somebody else's perspective.
yeah.
And I'd be laughing at them. So I got to laugh at myself,
But it's like
you
this
know?
gal that
And,
I talk
and
about that lives down the street. Uh, we'll be doing something, working in the yard or building a porch or something, and or whatever. And she'll
yep,
make a mistake that she realizes was a dumb
yep.
mistake, and then she starts talking to herself. And this is what she always says. She says, "Pam, you dumb bitch." She's talking to herself, and so I'll try to take advantage of that, and I'll say, "Yeah, Pam, you dumb," and I don't even get the word out before she's already hitting me.
Yep,
You know,
yep, yep.
I'm like, wait a minute. How come you can say it and I can't? So
Yeah, but no,
so I do that deliberately. Whenever she makes a
yep,
mistake, and I'll I'll do that. I'll go, Pam, you dumb, and I just hold that word.
yep, yep.
And I get a kick out of it. I think it's funny every time. Every time you see her mumbling to herself, saying, "Pam, you dumb bitch, that was stupid," And I'll be like, "Yeah, Pam, you dumb bitch."
Well, this kind of ties into something like that. But again, over the weekend, okay, I uh I decided I was going to take a little nap, okay, in the camper. Midday, been going
Yeah.
crazy, and everything. And I did. That little nap actually kind of turned into uh 5 hours, and I was out of it totally. But I get up, and the wife and a bunch of our friends, family, and everything, they're sitting at the table, and I come out. It's dark now. All right, it's later at night. It's about 8 o'clock at night, and I come out there, and I'm still trying to wake up. Well, two
Yeah.
of my friends, the wife is sitting there too, and two of my friends look at me and they go, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm still trying to wake up." Why? He goes, "You have that dazed and confused and almost
Yeah.
painful look to you." Well, you have to realize I'm still not awake. My wife is sitting next to me. And my first response immediately, I mean, there wasn't even a second hesitation. I just looked at him and I said, "Well, what the fuck? I'm married." That's why I have that look. I said, "I'm
Yeah.
married."
Yeah.
All three of them, actually, even my wife busted out laughing when I said that. And these two guys, they look at me and they see, my wife is sitting right next to me and everything. And they look at me and they go, what are you thinking? He goes, "That was funny, but that's not really a smart thing to say." And my wife looks at them both and she goes, "Well, I didn't marry him for his brains."
Yeah, right. You know, that kind of, I had a flash thought of a prank that was pulled on me many years ago. It was a Friday night. This was, oh, I don't remember the exact year. It had to have been in the 80s sometime. I remember about that same time as when that first space shuttle blew up.
Oh my
So
God.
whenever that was, 88, 89, somewhere around there like that.
Um, I'm
But
trying to think. No, it was earlier than that because
maybe 86, something
yeah,
like
it was
that.
right at 86 because that
Yeah.
was right
So anyway,
before I joined the military. So
yeah.
yeah, it was
And I
80.
was in, I'm in my mid 20s, and it's a Friday night, and there's this party going on at this buddy of mine's house. And I go over there, and we're all just over there partying up. And I had too much to drink, and I ended up crashing out on his couch,
Yep.
And the problem with that was that I still had to get up the next morning, a Saturday morning, go to work. I was working for this GMC truck dealership as one of the mechanic assistants, you know. And but anyway, so I passed out on his couch, and the girls at the party just thought it would be funny to put makeup on me,
Oh
you
God,
know.
yeah.
And you know where it is going. I get up the next morning, and they're all laughing at me, and I'm like, I gotta go, I gotta get to work. And they're like, well, you better go look in the mirror first. And sure enough, I got all this makeup on me. So I'm in the bathroom trying to scrub all this makeup off. I got it all off except for the mascara. I
Oh
couldn't get
God,
that
yeah. Yep.
mascara off. And I was out of time, and I just had to go to work, you know. And that was just it. As soon as I walk in, I happen to run into my supervisor, the shop foreman, the shop manager,
Yep.
and he takes a hard look at me, and he's like, "What's up with you?" And I had to explain to him. So, and I'm working with all these guys inside this truck mechanics place. So I
Hmm.
just made it a point to go around to everybody and just tell them, "Look, I'm going to tell you right now what happened."
Yep. Yep.
And a lot of them got a big kick out of it.
Oh yeah.
They thought it was funny that they're like, "Yeah, well, that'll teach you to pass out at a party," you know.
There you go. There you go. That's the
Yeah.
attitude I grew up with. Hey,
And so you
if
just get
you
it over with and
yep,
let them laugh at you,
yep.
and then you can move on and work the rest of the day, you know.
And you know what? Our generation, that's the way we grew up too. You pass out at a party.
Yeah.
If something happens to you, you get those weird
Yep.
pictures
Yeah.
taken, or you wake
Yeah.
up with makeup on, or whatever. That's to
Yeah.
be expected, and everybody understands that too.
Yeah.
Okay, they
Nowadays
get it.
they consider it bullying. Well,
Yeah, no, they
I
get it.
guess there was no bullying in our day
No,
because everybody was doing it. You know?
exactly. And if you're gonna dish it out, you also have to be able to take
Yeah.
it. You
Well,
know,
that's
what
just
goes
it.
around comes
And
around.
I started on my YouTube page just I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. I started a community page, and I wrote in the introduction that I got pretty thick skin. I can take anything.
Yep.
You know, uh, just be prepared that if you're gonna diss on me, just expect me to diss back.
There you go, yeah. It's a
I can
given.
take it just as I can take it just as well as I give it. So, and invited people to make any comment you want, and make comments that'll get taken down. I don't care. Because I've done that. I've made comments. They're not derogatory, uh, but I'll use words
Yep.
in comments that they'll just YouTube will just pull your comment right
Oh,
down before it even
yep.
goes on. The last one was there was a fella that had a fire in his shop, and he was talking on the video about how they're not exactly sure what had happened, but they believed it was with this a blast cabinet or something that they had,
Yep.
that had some kind of heat element in it, and they think the heat element went faulty and caught fire and started the shop on fire, and they had some real bad fire damage. Really set them back. And the worst part about it was they had it was like either a 70 or 71 Challenger, Dodge Challenger in the shop that they had been building for 2 years, had $100,000 into it,
Oh, good lord.
and it got caught up in that fire and burned up.
Oh,
They
gee.
were lucky though that all they have to do is replace that $40,000 paint job,
Yeah.
And a few lines and some wires and stuff. So they got. But anyway, So I made the comment. I says, I don't care what anybody says. I blame China. You know,
Yeah.
because that's just it. Everything's made in
Yeah.
China, and they send us junk. You know,
Well,
and
hey,
and then I made another comment that in regards to China and Russia and North Korea, boy, they took that down. I think they was afraid I was going to start an international incident.
oh my God,
You know,
and I look at a comment like that, and that what you just said, it reminds me of John Wilborn. I blame squirrels.
yeah, yeah,
That's how it looks to me. It's something that's off key. It actually literally has no relationship to it, unless you dig deep into it.
yeah,
But it's just a funny statement.
yeah.
I have a sister-in-law. Um, oh my God. And for years and years, and it got to the point, well, again, she's the oldest of her family. She was always responsible for her kids. Her husband, who's my wife's brother, all right,
Uh-huh.
her name is Sue, all right. And so it it became a running joke. Anything that went wrong, even if she had nothing to do with it, everyone was just like, "Well, I blame Sue." And she's good natured. She's like, "Yep, it was
Yeah.
my fault." I was in Kentucky at the time, but what you fucking idiots did, yes, of course it was my fault. And we're like, "Yeah, Sue, because you were in Kentucky instead of here watching us." Like little kids. We're grown ass men, obviously,
Yeah. Yeah.
sort of. Anyway, if you want to go through age, lineage, we're supposed to be. If you want to go mentality, no, we're still kids.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. That's how I am. I might be 60 something years old, mid 60s,
yep.
but I still act like a kid. I enjoy acting like a kid every
Oh
now and
yeah.
then. I like to have fun because,
Well,
it's foolish of me, but I still do it.
well, you got to understand too, Philip. Both our generations, the Boomers and the
Yeah.
Xers, Gen Xers,
Yeah.
when we were kids, we didn't. A lot of us really, like we were talking. We had to watch our younger siblings. We had to watch
Yep.
the younger kids in the neighborhood
Yep.
too. We
Yep.
we had a lot of responsibility put on us so that we really weren't just wild and free kids. It
Yeah.
might seem
Yeah.
like it, with the stories we tell, but no, we had a lot of responsibility back in the day. And so now
Yeah.
that we got older, we're kind of like, no, no, those 10 fucking years when I was 10 years old and I had to act like I was 30, no,
Yeah.
I'm getting them back right now. Might be one weekend at a time,
Yeah.
but I'm
And
getting my childhood
you know,
back right now.
when I was a kid in our neighborhood, first of all, here's how our neighborhood was. When I was a little kid, that the neighborhood that I lived in, it was all newly built houses. These were all brand new houses
Okay,
being built in what was otherwise a cornfield,
I
you
got
know. And in those days, men went to work and women were housewives.
yeah, yep,
And all up and down the street, that was just it. There's all women of, the parents were all of about the same age.
yep,
They all hung around together. They get together on the weekends, sit in the lawn chair, drink beer in the driveway, that kind of thing. And all the women knew one another. All the mothers knew one another.
right,
And no matter where you were at in the neighborhood, you weren't going to get away with shit because there'd be some mother seeing what you were doing,
oh
and
yeah,
she'd call your mother and tell her, hey, your son's over here doing this or that, lighting off firecrackers or popping willies on lawn tractors or something,
oh yeah,
you're shooting a BB gun. You
oh
couldn't
yeah,
get away with nothing.
no,
The mothers were like prison guards. They were all stationed throughout the neighborhood.
oh my
And
God,
if you tried pulling something, you were going to get busted, And the
yeah,
worst part about it is if your mother had to stop what she was doing, leave the house, walk down the street and get you, boy, you were in big trouble. You got your ass whooped all the way back to the house, right
yeah,
there in front of God and everybody.
yeah,
And that was in the days when you could whip your kids. And I'll tell you what,
oh yeah,
I was doing some shit that I deserved a whipping for,
oh yeah. Same here,
So
same here. And here's what used to get me. Same thing. I grew up in the same type of deal. All right.
Yeah.
Neighborhood we lived in was kind of closed off. Our house was at the end of the dead end street. All right.
Right.
One way in, one way out. So everyone in that neighborhood, and it was a big neighborhood too. But like you said, the mothers, the grandmothers, the
Yeah. And grandmothers. Yeah.
older sisters and everything too. They all knew all the kids, all the women hung around everything, and same thing. And there was absolutely no hesitation for one of these ladies to come out,
Yep.
grab you by the ear, grab you by the back of the neck, or whatever. What
Or
the
by the
hell?
arm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
or
something.
what are you
Just
doing?
to escort you out.
Yep. And I'm taking you to your mom.
Yeah. Yep.
And there was also a few times this, you got the Gibbs dope slap. What
Yep.
what are you doing? Stop it.
Yeah.
So
Right up, right on the backside of your head. You know, you got it. You know,
not only did you
pop
get
you in the back
smacked,
of the head and say, "What are you thinking?"
right? Not only did you get smacked by a neighbor, towed it home. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My mom would whip your ass too. Not
Yeah.
only for what you did, which you might have deserved a beating, but because a
Yeah.
neighbor
Yeah.
had to come down and tell you about. And then wait till your father gets home. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. All right.
My dad wore boots, and
Yeah.
boy, I'll tell you what. When he came home, you'd be sitting in your bedroom trying to hide,
Oh yeah.
and you'd hear them big boots thumping down that hallway, heading straight for your bedroom. That was, you knew that this was the last few seconds on earth for you.
Yep.
It was over. The old man's gonna bust through that door, and then it's gonna be over. You're dead, man.
Yeah.
You know.
My dad wasn't quite like that because he was abused
Yeah.
as a child. I mean, his father, my grandfather.
Well, I'll tell you what. My father never gave me a whooping that I didn't already deserve.
Same
know?
here. Same here. But a lot of times my dad was more into
But
psychological.
getting back to that topic of the mothers in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
I can remember many a times my mother always saying, "Why am I always getting a phone call about you? How come I don't have to be calling other mothers about their children? I'm the one always getting the phone call about you." You know, I don't have to call the other mothers about their children. You're
Yeah.
the one that's the problem, you know.
My
You
mom
got
was
that
kinda-
lecture, you know.
Yeah, my mom was kind of the same way, but you got to realize I'm the youngest
But,
out of 16. So
I was always like that. My mother had a picture, and I think I might still have it. This is back when my older brother and sister were already going to school, and I wasn't old enough to go to school yet.
Yep.
She took a picture of me because this is what I had done. It was obviously trash day, and that was back in days of the old big metal cans.
Oh my
And
God.
people just threw this was before the invention of garbage bags, you know.
Yep.
People put these old metal cans out to the street, and what I had done was I was going up and down in the neighborhood just digging in trash. And
Oh
I
my
found
God.
myself a pair of cowboy boots that had been thrown in the trash, and I found a cowboy hat.
Yep.
And so I put these on, and I'm walking around the neighborhood in these big old cowboy boots that were up to my knees,
Yep.
and this cowboy hat. And my mother just thought it was so adorable, she had to snap a picture of it, and then scolded me for digging in the trash, you know?
Oh, I gotcha. Well, again, like I was saying though, we were talking about the neighborhood and the neighborhood women, that would keep your ass in line.
Yeah.
On the opposite end of that too, always felt safe because anytime you got a skin knee, you did something. The first thing they do is they would make sure you were okay.
Yeah.
All right. And, all of us kids growing up in the neighborhood too, if the garden hose wasn't available to somebody's house, because it was
Yeah.
nothing for us to walk into a neighbor's house if the garden hose was hooked up, turn it on, get a drink. Nobody cared. Nobody.
Yeah.
That was
exactly. That was just what you did.
That's what
If you needed a drink of water, you just go to the nearest garden hose and turn it
Yeah.
on.
And that's the thing. The neighbors didn't mind because they knew what you were doing, and they were.
Yep.
A lot of them would watch out the window and go, "Is he going to be stupid enough to take the?"
And that was
step?"
just like,
You know?
here's a funny thought. That's how we used to do things as a kid.
Yeah.
If it was summertime, it was hot, and you was playing, you was thirsty, you just went to the nearest garden hose, got yourself a drink. That's just
Right.
what you did.
Right.
And at one point, I had the thought, and I said to my brother, I says, you know what? I have a great idea. That why don't we just put the water in bottles and we'll sell them for a dime or a nickel a piece? And my brother's like, you idiot. No one's going to buy a bottle of water from you.
Yep.
You know? Now look at it. Bottled water is $1 billion a year industry.
Oh my God,
you know?
yeah. And some people paying $5-6.
Yeah.
You
So,
know, it's,
yeah, I had the bottled water idea way back in the 60s.
Yep.
But at that time, everybody's like, that's a stupid idea. No one's going to pay you to get a bottle of water from you, you know?
Yep.
But I'll tell you one thing that we used to do to cool off in the hot summertime is, you know, because also back in those days, you had your milk delivered to your house by a milkman.
Yep.
And they'd have these glass milk bottles. And the mouth of that milk bottle was just the right size that if you stuck the garden hose down into it and turned it on, because of it would pressurize the bottle, and that water, that milk bottle now became a big sprinkler. It would spray out the top of the bottle. And that's what we did as a sprinkler. You know, we didn't go to the Kmart or whatever and buy an actual sprinkler, a lawn sprinkler. You made one out of a milk bottle and a garden hose.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We did the same thing. Okay. But when somebody you remember the long ones that had the rod in the middle and they would go back and forth and everything. And you crank the water up, and some of those things would get, 8-10 feet up high.
Yeah.
Running through those too.
Running through and jumping through it. Yep.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then if you're lucky enough to have a slip and slide next to it, you'd run, jump through that, you get wet, you'd hit the slip and slide. All right. And of course, and this is the thing, I
think we actually invented the slip and slide, because before there was a slip and slide, we'd find these big old rolls of plastic and just roll them out and put the sprinkler to it.
That's that's where this story was going. My dad had a roll of plastic. He rolled that out and everything, wet it down. Now again, too, like I said, I lived at the bottom of a hill. All right. It leveled out a little bit, but then the rest of it, and especially the back field, was sloped. Okay. It was good slope. Now, the end of it, you had a couple choices. You either had a bunch of trees and thorns, big ass prickers, or you had the river. Okay. Well, after a few times of sliding through this thing and getting caught up in the thorns, we kind of angled it towards the river instead. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, if you got a good enough run, you jump through that sprinkler, and especially after my dad, because us kids didn't even think about it, but especially after my dad went in the house and got the dish detergent, the old Dawn, or whatever it was, Palmolive. Palmolive at the time is what my mom was using. A Palmolive, you're soaking in it. He sprayed that whole plastic down with that, add the water. Man, you hit that. No, you didn't slow down. You sped up. You sped up. And that's why we had to move it away from that damn tree and those thorns.
Yeah.
Because kids were getting caught in that.
Yeah. In the Chicagoland area, we would get snowstorms every winter. And there was a hill. There was this warehouse only about a mile from our house that was built on a hill. And the warehouse was actually from the Westinghouse company. It was their appliance, Westinghouse Appliances Distribution Center. And we always, in our neighborhood, we knew that if someone said, hey, where are you going? Well, I'm going to the Westinghouse Hill. Everybody knew what the Westinghouse Hill was.
Right.
But here's where I'm going with this. I think that we actually invented inner tubing.
Oh, my God.
Because we didn't have sleds, we didn't have sleds. You had a toboggan.
Right. Right.
That's what you had. And if you was a kid trying to drag an 80-pound wooden toboggan a mile to a hill, but we quickly figured out to get car inner tubes, because car inner tubes were still plentiful at the time.
Yeah.
And you found out that them inner tubes would go down a snowy hill like crazy, you know.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
now they actually make inner tubes specifically for sledding with little grab handles and everything on them, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
just used to use old car tires, you know, and cardboard.
Yep.
You know, I
Well,
think the cardboard, that's why you see these sleds now that are like a piece of plastic, a rolled up piece of plastic
yep.
that you unroll and go down the hill in. Well, we was doing that. There was another company next door to that Westinghouse building. It was called Beltran, and they made all kinds of park equipment. They made the uh, picnic benches like you'd see in a park,
Oh
and
yeah.
those heavy metal steel grills that
Yep.
you'd see in a park. You know, they manufactured all this stuff out of heavy gauge steel. And I don't know what they were getting, but over in their dump area, they'd always have these wax coated cardboard boxes, and they were big boxes. They
Yep.
were big enough to put a washing machine in. And for some reason, those cardboard boxes were wax coated. Apparently, to try to prevent whatever was in that box from getting wet while it was in shipping, you know. But I'll tell you what, you got one of those wax coated cardboard boxes, you'd fly down that hill like nobody's business.
Oh my
Boy.
God. Yes. Yeah. Like I said, you're talking about the inner tubes. We did the same thing as kids on the
Yep.
snow. All right. But a lot of that was because in the summertime and everything, we'd use those inner tubes to go down the river.
Yep.
Or we used to love it too. My dad had a little well, he had a John boat for a while, and
Yep.
then he got a little aluminum V boat. And yeah, he would tow us behind, and as kids would be in the inner tube, and he'd tow us
Yeah.
behind the boat.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
as you know, these inner tubes that actually come from cars, trucks. I used to love it. He used
Yeah.
to get some
The
he
big
used to
semi
get
trucks.
some inner tubes on the big semi trucks. Those things were
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
But there ain't a goddamn thing to hold on to
No.
except
That,
on the big semi truck ones.
yeah,
You
that
know,
brass nozzle.
yeah, they had
Yeah.
they had the fill nozzle. You know, the
Yep.
stem that was about that long. And as a
Yep.
kid, you could grab onto that. Would
Yeah.
that keep your ass on the inner
Yeah.
tube? Oh hell no, hell no. Either water or snow, it didn't matter. No, you were getting flown off. You were getting thrown off. You were getting airtime. The only difference was if you held on to that stem, you could find the inner tube not too far away from you once you bounced the third time off either the water or the snow. You
Yeah.
know, it didn't go that far away. If you didn't have one of those to hang on to, no telling where that damn inner tube would
Yep.
go.
Yeah. What we would do with the inner tube is we'd put the nozzle down towards the water
Yep,
and lay on our bellies, you know, spread eagle across the whole inner tube
yep,
and try to hang on, you know.
yep,
And it was always the boat driver's responsibility to try to knock you off.
yep,
You know?
exactly,
So they'd
exactly.
be doing zigzags and pulling
Right.
tight turns and whipping you around, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh my
But
God. Yeah.
here's another thing that we used to do because a friend of mine, we had this. My parents had this summer home on this lake in Wisconsin, and one of the guys there, he managed to bring one of these cargo parachutes, which are smaller than like a regular human parachute.
Yep. Yep.
It
Yep.
was
Yep.
like an old military surplus cargo chute,
Yep.
and we was like one of the first ones to figure out to tie that onto a ski rope and see if we could take flight in it. And
I got you.
now I'm down here on the Gulf Coast of Mexico, or I'm sorry, the Gulf of America,
Yep. Yep.
and you see boats doing that. They're running up and down along the beach all day long, doing that paragliding where you actually pay these guys to put you in a harness that's attached to a parachute, and they just drive the boat along, and you take sail into the air. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know what what we were talking about and discussing during the weekend. That video you see with Nina sitting on the rocking chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, hey, we got some of the kids down here. They have some real high performance quads. I
Yeah.
said, I got some bungee cords, and my buddy Danny has a big tarp. I said, let's see if we can get Nina airborne, go parasailing, tie it right to the chair. I said,
Yeah.
that way there we don't have to worry about her landing because she was actually in a rocking chair. I said, that has skids. she can land on the skids. Philip, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Take care of this channel for me for about 2 minutes. I have to go. I have to go get a pack of cigarettes.
Okay. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, I
I'll
can
be
do
right
that.
back. All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whoop.
I won't be able to hear you because I'm plugging my.
Okay.
So
I
you
understand.
yeah you can
Yeah,
say
I can
whatever you
blab
want about.
for a
Yeah,
few minutes.
yeah. All right, I'll be back in a.
All right. Keeping along that same theme of the stuff that we used to do as a kid. Uh, now I know I can't lay claim to this, but as far as skateboards, but when you watch that movie Back to the Future, where Michael J. Fox has to take one of these little scooters and turn it into a skateboard, well, that's exactly what we used to do as kids. We would find a board, find an old roller skate, and nail or screw that roller skate to a board, and then we'd take a piece of rope and tie it around some other kid's bicycle. And we'd have that kid pull us around on a bicycle, and of course, naturally, it quickly progressed into seeing who could stay on the skateboard the longest at the fastest speed. So yeah, that was another thing we used to get some kid, and 10-speed bikes were just starting to come out then, and you'd be hanging onto a piece of rope tied onto a 10-speed bike with one of the big kids pedaling, and you'd see how fast you could go on this rickety old skateboard, with a roller skate nailed to the bottom of just a regular board. And of course, you'd wipe out, and you get all skinned up, and it hurt for a minute, but once you was done, it was just battle scars. It was just your band-aids. When I was a kid, your band-aids were like service badges,
Oh
your
yeah.
battle scars, and you wore them proudly. It was like sergeant stripes,
Yeah.
we
Can you
would
hear
wear
me?
band-aids like sergeant stripes. It showed that we earned it. And as kids, you get into a pissing contest, stand around with all your buddies explaining this scar and that scar and how you got it. So
All right, Philip, I'm back. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you just fine,
All
and I
right,
can see
buddy.
you too.
All right.
Everything's good.
And I hate to say this, but you're frozen.
Am I really?
Yeah, your video.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me see if I can fix that. What I'm doing is I'm sitting in the truck, and
Yep.
the Wi-Fi signal is probably so weak that it's
I
done
got you.
that. So maybe
Well,
if I get up on the porch, let's see what happens.
your voice is
Yeah.
coming through good, but you're frozen behind
Oh,
the
yeah.
wheel of the truck.
Okay. Well, let's see it moving closer. Boy, I'll tell you what, I've got a ton of messages on my phone all of a sudden.
Oh,
That could
no
be
shit.
fun. Let's see if I can clear off all of that. Yeah, no, I'm back up on the porch. I've got
Yeah.
a good Wi-Fi signal, but yeah, we're just froze up. So, but you know what? I gotta call it quits here anyway and start doing something. It's almost 10 o'clock here, and it's going to start getting hot, and I really should be productive today.
I got you, buddy.
I'm going to call it quits. We've been on here. I've been on here at least an hour with you.
Yeah.
I think I'd come up to you was already on for about a half an hour or so.
Yeah, we're at an hour and 44 minutes. So
Yeah.
All right, bud.
So
But
I'm just going to let you go. I'm going to try to do something. I started with some mowing. When I mow, see, between the two properties here, it's almost 10 acres.
Oh my God.
And so when I go to mow, I'm mowing for a long time.
I got you.
So and I should probably get out there and do some of that before it gets too damn hot. Because I started some yesterday, and I worked until it started getting too hot, and then knowing that it was going to get well into the 90s and high humidity, I tried to do as much as I could, and then get back in the house by 10 a.m.
Yep.
And I stayed in the house all day yesterday and just watched, even though my air conditioning was going full blast. I sat there and watched the temperature get hotter and hotter and hotter in the house.
Oh yeah.
So that was just it. When we get those hot days, the trick is just sit down, do absolutely no activity, and try to stay cool.
Yep. I got you, buddy.
So,
I got you.
And with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and get off here, and we'll talk to you later. All right.
All right, my friend. Well, you have yourself a good weekend. Have a good week, and hopefully I'll get you back on next weekend.
All right. All right. Yeah, I look forward to it.
All right, buddy. You take care.
We'll see you.
All right, man. Bye bye. Anyway, yeah, it's always awesome to have Philip come back on. It makes doing the live stream, one, a lot more interesting, two, a lot easier on me. And but with that being said, too, I haven't called my sister in 2 weeks, and like Philip's saying, as the weather's getting warmer, she goes out first thing in the morning, just as the sun comes up, and starts working in her yard and in her garden. But I'm thinking maybe it might be just about time for her to start coming in and taking a break and getting out of the heat and everything. So I'm gonna try and give her a holler here. Oh yeah, and guys, no, I'm not wearing the hat to be stylish. I need a haircut, and when I came out here, I got the two fans going. Yeah, my hair was just blowing across, getting down in my eyes, and bugging the shit out of me. So I just kind of stuffed it under a hat. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna end this and give my sister a call, see if she's up, see if she'll answer, and yak at her for a little bit. But Philip, as always, it was great having you on. Thank you. We'll try and hook up again next week. And everyone else, you all have a good weekend. Be safe. Have fun. All right, you all take care. I'm out of here, and again, hopefully I'll see you all next week.